almost like having to carry a suitcase. Just roll along with the boy tank.
And most of the time they have to travel with a spare one just in case they run out
Yeah.
too. So that's like something extra, like you can't forget when you're going out. What else? Oh, yes, Bailey.
My grandmother, which I can't say too much, because
Okay.
I'm going to use her in our presentation, but she doesn't, like Alana said, she doesn't like to go out, but even more so, like when it's hard to breathe, it's hard to walk, it's hard to talk, it's hard to do all kinds of things, and she doesn't want to be on oxygen and a wheelchair, so she refuses to use a wheelchair. So we'll just be, depending on the weather, depending on the day, we'll just try to walk into a restaurant and she'll have to stop several times and like try to catch her breath, or she'll refuse to talk to somebody that she really wants to talk to at church or something because she's trying to catch her breath and she's embarrassed. And like that's really hard to not even be able to communicate with someone because you're embarrassed about your breathing, or kind of hard if you need help and you can't breathe to communicate that you can't breathe.
So do you think that she stays in sometimes because she is embarrassed?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like we'll have plans and she'll be like, well, we can make it tentative, but I can't tell you for sure until the day of, which is hard for her.
Definitely.
So I think we even hit most of the points except for church. But that is included in the going out.
What about the psychological aspect?
I thought about like being, if I were to get it, I'd be so disappointed in myself if I had smoked and then ruined my body, and then I had to live with that because of me. So I would do a lot of shaming on myself.
Yeah,
Like, oh, great, Hannah, way to go.
that's a good one. I didn't
The
even
whole time.
Yeah, so like I'll, yeah.
I would, sort of what she was saying, but if I were to like if I didn't smoke and I like most likely got COPD from like secondhand smoke, like I would be like livid with other people that I've been around that smoke. I would be like, all because of you.
With Hannah's thing, my great aunt actually died of COPD or COPD related stuff, and ultimately it was because she couldn't exhale and it was poisoning her because there's still the carbon monoxide. But she got COPD, she quit smoking, and then she just kept having a hard time breathing, and she was so depressed that she's like, I'd rather smoke and be happy. So she actually started smoking again because if she's already done the damage, and at least she's comfortable, she says, which
You said she passed away?
she didn't end up passing away, but she got COPD and quit, and then decided that the damage was already done. She'd rather not have the cravings if she's gonna die.
Because that's definitely a factor too. So I also thought about like one of the main psychological stressors is financial issues, and like thinking about all the treatment and sorting that out with your insurance with like oxygen, because that stuff is really expensive too. That could be a big psychological stressor for like depression and stuff. Anyone else have thoughts?
So some lifestyle changes that you can do are like the exercises that we just got up and did from the video, breathing activities, which are included in that video. You can use the treatments if they are necessary, so like the bronchodilator, the oxygen tank, and the spirometer. You can stay away from smoke and chemical fumes, and you can get your vaccinations. Also, role modeling. So if you want someone to have a healthier life, they're not just going to do it if you say, oh, you need to fix this, go do it. They're going to be more likely and more receptive to being able to fix their life if they have someone role modeling, here, this is what you're supposed to eat, and I'll eat this with you, this is how you're supposed to exercise, I'll exercise with you. And also a lot of the patients could have an at-home nurse, which would help. She would keep them on top of their exercises, give them their medications that they need, and just help them remember what all to do to help them be more healthy. So we have some questions now. So which of these is not an environmental factor that affects asthma? Pollen, dust mites, pet hair, or the color red? Okay.
The red food coloring.
Yeah, okay. What do people with emphysema have trouble doing? Do they have trouble exhaling, inhaling, sleeping, or living?
Can it
All of you.
all of you?
Yeah. So it is all of the above, but technically the answer that was on the slide was they have trouble exhaling. So, what is not a symptom of COPD? Is it cough, depression, breathlessness, or sputum production?
Oh.
So technically, we didn't talk about depression, even though it could be a symptom of it. It is a very manageable thing if you have all the right treatments and stuff like that. So that's why they're not as worried about the depression aspect, because it is manageable. But
What about the slide where you have the cycle where depression is, you got that like cycle, you want to talk about the cycle slide?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think when we like made the question, it was more along the lines of like depression was more of an outcome
Yeah.
and not a symptom itself. But it could also be a symptom itself.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So depends on the person, I guess.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do they sometimes have a hard time coughing, or do they feel like they need to cough because they can't get things out? So they're like, oh, I need to cough, but they like.
I
So
think
it's not maybe not an effective cough.
say
Is it
that.
sometimes not? Are their coughs not always effective because they can't exhale very well, or do they have to cough in order to exhale sometimes?
I think it could be either or, but I think majority of the time it's because of like the mucus like buildup and stuff, and then not being able to get all of that like oxygen out. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then lastly, which of these is a factor of COPD, or a risk factor, sorry? Is it hugging trees, being born in the fall, smoking, or listening to Christmas music before Thanksgiving? There you go.
It's the main thing you should pull from this. Don't stop,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Okay,
That's
and
it.
there are references.
Thank you, Kat and Jordan. Let's have a few minutes for some questions for.
What is the slide? I think I missed it when you were explaining chronic dyspnea. What exactly is that? I don't even know if I pronounced it right, but I think it was one of the earlier slides.
There it is.
Yeah. Right there.
Oh yeah, that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it is difficult or labored breathing.
I see it. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I thought you asked where it was, sorry.
No, I just forgot. Yeah. Okay. I didn't see that.
Yes.
What is it that causes emphysema? Because, so COPD is what is caused by damaged lungs. What is it that causes the emphysema, which is part of the COPD?
I think it's the smoking because it damages the air sacs that help you breathe out, which is like the emphysema itself.
Okay, good. So emphysema is only the like alveoli there. So
Yes,
Yeah.
that's focused on the alveoli, and then the chronic bronchitis is the bronchial tubes.
Okay.
So like all that together kind of like composes COPD.
Okay, I understand.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys really like looked into this, but could there be any more risk factors if someone's like on medication for COPD and continues to smoke? Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they're,
So what do you? I probably don't know the answer anyway, but what like medications?
I'm not really sure what medications. I just know, like, at least at work, we have a lot of clients with COPD who go take their medications and then immediately after go outside for a cigarette.
I mean,
I
if you're
wasn't sure if there
taking
was any-
the medications and then smoking right after, it's
It's kind of defeating
basically,
itself.
yeah, it's defeating the purpose of the medication, and it can definitely worsen your symptoms and the disease itself. So,
Yes.
You guys said it can be like more severe in the mornings than like throughout the rest of the day. Was there a reason why it's more severe in the mornings?
I would think that it's because like when you're laying down and sleeping, all of the, what is the one? Sputum, all of the thing that's like, it's almost like when you get a cold and you go to sleep and then you're all like stuffed up and your throat is hurting and you can't breathe well. That's how I took it. Does that like make sense?
Yeah.
Because it is based off of like bronchitis and stuff, and that's what I think about like when I had bronchitis. So.
The way that I actually created that was like whenever we get sick, like say with a sinus infection, and we feel like terrible whenever we wake up, but then once we go through our day and like go to our classes, go about our day, we end up feeling better throughout the day because we are getting all of the fluids and everything moving and also out of our system. And then once we go to sleep, like we give our body time to rebuild itself, but also we give the condition time to rebuild itself as well. And so when you wake up, it has to start over and refight.
Yes. You guys said something about COPD is doubled more in females than males. Why is that? I think the actual statistic was it has doubled like the cause of, would it say mortality in
Yeah.
females? So I don't know what the year it was like based on, but like currently like not twice as many females as males, but just number of males in general has, or females has doubled in death. Does that make sense? Was that the confusion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have another question.
Yeah.
With the CPAP, like the
CPAP?
CPAP, the breathing mask that you wear like when you're going to sleep. My question was, I don't know if you guys like, I don't know, but my question was like, do you have to sleep on your back like when you're wearing that? Because I know like, you know how a lot of people like toss and turn, like does that matter?
No, because it has a band, so like,
It won't fall off.
yeah, if you ever worn a sleep mask, like over your eyes,
Okay.
whenever you're sleeping, it's kind of like one of those, but for your mouth
Yeah.
and nose.
And it like, it pressurizes the air to like force it, and you so like, no matter how you're sleeping, that'll work.
But I just didn't know like, 'cause you know how sometimes people say like lay on your back, that way like you have a better like airflow. I didn't know if, like,
Yeah.
like you
Not
had
that I
to-
know of, so.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you.